Good afternoon and welcome to the Rory Talks Football channel. Thank you for joining. Please, if you are new to the channel, drop a subscription. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers as soon as possible, basically. If you're already subscribed as well, make sure to smash the like button. Smash the like button for a 4-1 beautiful win against Leeds yesterday. What a game. What a performance. Actually, not our best performance, but the result nonetheless was phenomenal. If you're watching on TikTok, please go to my YouTube in my bio. Drop us a subscription. We are en route. We are en route to 1,000 subscribers. And listen, massive shout out. Just finished watching it. The Arsenal women just beat Man City 2-1 in a huge game. Katie McCabe with an absolutely beautiful strike to win it. A goal fitting for a win. And the title race in the WSL is unbelievable right now. You've got 4 teams. You've got United, Chelsea, City and Arsenal all capable of winning the league. Some massive games to go. So big shout out to them. But what we're really here to talk about is Arsenal yesterday, the men's team. And luckily I got there in the end with 45 minutes to spare with the ticket exchange. I managed to get a ticket and we got there after... In fact, I say I got a ticket. It was actually my girlfriend who was the one that managed to get it. We were both for hours and hours and hours spamming away on the ticket exchange, and eventually we got one. And look, I put a picture on Twitter. I was unhappy with the amount of empty seats there yesterday. Arsenal have to sort this problem out because I know that I got lucky. I know a lot of people were trying to get tickets at the same time as me and failed, and it's just not right because there were so many empty seats and something needs to be done. Memphis Depay, thank you, I love you too. Hello. Finn, hello. But look, moving into the show. We've got everything that Arteta said yesterday in his post-match presser. And there's a lot to talk about. There is a lot to talk about. So on Gabriel Jesus' contribution, Arteta said he's delighted for him. They were all clapping for him. He's been working so hard for the last 4 or 5 months with a lot of support, obviously, from the team and the staff. Today, he deserved the chance to start. He grabbed the opportunity with a lot of conviction, scoring 2 very important goals. And look, it was actually, if you go back to before Jesus got injured, I think he'd gone 10 or 11 games without scoring. So it is important that on his first start for us in the Premier League, at least since that injury, he's come through and got 2 goals. And obviously the penalty, he completely won it himself. And it was a penalty. I saw some people saying it's not a penalty. Definitely just salty because apart from anything, he actually, before Ayling fouls him, there is contact from, I think it was Christensen, and he could have gone down then. He stayed on his feet at that point, jinks again past Ayling, and he got studded in the knee. I think it actually probably quite hurt him. Stood up. We did that tactic. I know a lot of teams have been doing this recently. I can't remember the one. Who was it recently? Where basically it was Trippier. It was for Newcastle, right? Trippier held the ball as if he was going to take the penalty, so that everyone could get the shenanigans out of the way, trying to intimidate him. And then right at the last second, Isaac stepped up, and we did a similar thing yesterday. Ødegaard held the ball, and Jesus picked it up, buried it down the middle, and we needed that goal at that time because it had been. Look, as happy as I was, and as high as some of those player ratings I gave today were. It had been a flat first half. Certain players that normally are the real tempo setters for us, like Ødegaard, were just a little bit off it. I think in the case of Ødegaard, it's probably fatigue. He played, I believe, 90 minutes in both of Norway's international games. And without Saka on that right wing as well, I think there was a bit of just a period of getting used to playing with a different person. Like Ødegaard, Saka and Ben White have played so much this season that they're understanding together. They don't have to think about it. They know where the player is going to be. Saka knows when Ben White's going to be coming around on the overlap. Ødegaard knows when Saka's going to have drifted out wide or if he's going to have come in. So it does take time to adapt to that. And I think one thing that I noticed was that Trossard was nowhere near as wide a lot of the time as Bukayo Saka normally is. And so I don't think that helped us. And like I said, a few other players were a bit off the pace as well. So look, it was a tough first half. I just realised I don't think I've tweeted that I'm live, so I'm just going to tweet that. But yeah, it was a tough first half, but we got through it, and it was huge from Jesus to get to grab that penalty because at that point, the longer it gets into the game like that, and we were conceding some chances as well. Massive shout out to Aaron Ramsdale who kept us in the game probably 3 times before we got that first goal. We were conceding chances on the break because they got pace, and we have without Saliba, we do have a bit less pace at the back. and Sinisterra and Somerville were creating chances, and probably Somerville should have scored before we got that first goal, if we're honest. And the longer it had gone into the game, if they'd made it to half time without conceding, they then come out second half with more energy, it could have gone on to be a difficult game. So you need those moments of magic from players like Gabriel Jesus. And we've had that a lot this season. We do now have such a talented group of players that even when your back's against the wall or when you're really struggling to break a team down, we do have those players that can just get a goal out of nowhere. I remember Saka's goal off his right foot against Everton. A similar game, we were struggling to break them down. Once we got that first goal, we beat them 4-0. And it was similar yesterday. Obviously, we came out in the second half and blew them away a little bit. What up from Brooklyn? Hello from Brooklyn. Good to see you. Good to see you in the chat. Thank you for joining. Where is everyone from? I always like seeing where everyone's from. Put in the chat on TikTok and on YouTube where you're from. I love how international the fan base is. It's always good. But look, yeah, so the first half was a bit flat. Second half, we blew them away. Conceded again conceded at home, which is just something that we cannot get over. We've kept 12 clean sheets in the Premier League this season, and only 3 of them have been at the Emirates. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. And I felt bad for Ramsdale yesterday because he had done his job to keep a clean sheet. There's nothing he can do about the deflected goal. And he must have just been absolutely fuming. Trondheim, Norway. Love it. Where's Ødegaard from in Norway? Do you know? Is Ødegaard from Trondheim? I love Norwegian names. But look, yeah, so moving on with some of the things that Arteta said. So he actually said, he talked about the message he gave at halftime because he acknowledged himself that it had been flat in that first half. He said, the first thing is that we had to improve. Yes, we did. He said, obviously, the way that they set up, they were really man-marking our attacking midfielders. And that is the thing. As much as, whilst Ødegaard might have looked a bit off his normal tempo, he often does when he gets man-marked. And it has been, quite a few teams have used that as a route to neutralising our attack, is man-marking Ødegaard. And again, it was happening yesterday. I think, was it Rocker was man-marking him for most of it, I think. That midfield, considering it didn't have Tyler Adams, in the first half, they were good. They were good. And then Arteta said, so they had 4 really fast players to cut us in the transition, which again was what I just said. With Somerville and Sinisterra on the break, they were creating chances. He said, we started to lose the ball in areas that we cannot do against a team that wants to defend that way. We improved that a lot. We exploited all of the spaces, and we changed a little bit the shape and position of a few players. We were more fluid attacking in the final third, very close to the box with good numbers. And that was how it was in the second half. You look at Jesus' second goal, you look at the running behind from Granit Xhaka. It was a lot better. It was a lot better in that second half. On Ben White injury issues. So I don't know if many of you had seen it, but it was a big thing and then not a big thing in the space of about 10 minutes on Twitter. But Ben White got pulled from the warm-up before the game. He went down the tunnel with the medical team about 10 minutes before the warm-up ended. And Jorginho started warming up with the starting players. And so we were worried about Ben White. But he ended up coming out and playing and was fine. But Arteta said he's had some issues as well in the last few days, but he's a big fighter and he wanted to be here. Obviously, with the injury of Tomiyasu, we're short in that position, and he scored a goal as well, which is good news for him, as he was very good again. And he was. You wouldn't have thought that Ben White was carrying any sort of injury in that game because he was absolutely excellent. He was probably my man of the match, although, well, between him and Jesus, it's difficult. But I thought he was really, really good, especially because, again, in the absence of Saliba, White does have to work a bit harder to support Holding. Not that Holding's not doing a fantastic job by himself, but Ben White does have to cover a little bit more, especially against pacey wingers, and he did that really well, and then got forward and got the goal. Excellent assist from Martinelli for that goal as well. Really, really good assist. He was asked about Trossard. We're going to talk about Trossard as well. What a player. But he said, in his wildest dreams, could he have imagined Trossard playing so well? He said, I have very wild dreams. But no, seriously, we knew about his quality and what he could bring to the team. We're really pleased with him. He can play on the right, he can play on the left, he can play in the middle, he can play as an attacking midfielder, as a 9, a false 9. Basically, he can play anywhere in the attacking setup. I am well, thank you. Daily AFC content. How are you doing? Thank you for joining. Yeah, so basically he can play everywhere. He's really contributing to the team, and he really takes a lot of responsibility in games to make things happen, and we love that. And the stats on Trossard, I don't know if some of you have seen this, but that's now 8 goal contributions since joining Arsenal. 1 goal and 7 assists since he joined in 13 games. He joined 72 days ago. That means he's getting a goal contribution every 9 days at the moment. It's outrageous. And I think I can't think of a better January signing that we've had than Trossard in terms of the impact that they've had, in terms of how much we have relied on him quite quickly because of various injuries. He's been unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable, and he was again yesterday. Like I said, first half he was struggling a little bit, but that assist for Jesus was absolutely spot on. He was asked about the fluidity within our front line, because yesterday, when the team news came out and we saw it was Trossard, Martinelli, and Jesus. Some people thought Jesus was going to play off the right with Trossard down the middle. My prediction was that it would be Trossard off the right with Jesus down the middle. But really, they can go wherever they want. At some points, Martinelli came out to the right. At some points, Jesus went out to the left. It really is. It's a nightmare for defenders to try and deal with, because you generally speaking, you'd be like, well, this is my man. This is my man for the game. I know how he's going to play. I know if he's going to cut in on his right foot. I know if he's going to try and take it down the left. If you're a right back, within that game, you've got to mark at some point Martinelli, at some point Trossard, at some point Jesus. 3 completely different players that do completely different things. It's so difficult. It's so difficult to keep hold of them. And it's why we're scoring so many goals. But Arteta said on it, we've got players now who need a little bit of space and freedom. And those interactions, I think, to contribute to the team and make the opponent more conscious and worried about those rotations. It's a little more difficult for them to defend. And they also like it. They feel better. They feel free doing it. And they have our blessing to do it. So it's good that the players want to have that freedom as well. What do I think who do I think will win out of Newcastle and Man United later? We'll get onto that. We will get onto that game, because I do think it's a big game. Doesn't really affect us, but it is going to be an interesting game, and the stream will be finished before that starts as well. On creating a culture where a player always steps up. Now, this is talking about Rob Holding, but also, we've had so many players this season that when they've been called upon have stepped up. Nketiah when Jesus got injured, now Holding with Saliba out. And he said, first of all, the players have to feel trust, and we trust them. They need to feel that confidence, and the players have to prepare in the right way when they have the chance, like Rob did, and to actually perform. And I think Rob Holding deserves a lot of credit, because a lot of naysayers questioned how he would do, and he's been very good. I saw someone commented on my TikTok earlier that they didn't notice him in the game. Well, that's perfect. If you're not noticing Rob Holding, that's excellent, because really, the times against a team like Leeds, if you are going to notice a centre-back, it's going to be because they've made a big mistake, and he didn't make any mistakes. So it's really important. Sorry, I'm drinking a lot. Bit of a hangover, trying to get the water back on board. He was asked about how much of the City game they watched. Obviously, City fucking absolutely smashed Liverpool. Which that performance from City against Liverpool, on one hand, it's a pain, right? Because I hoped that Liverpool could get something out of that game. And especially once Salah put them 1-0 up, I was thinking, here we go. And but Liverpool are just really bad. Liverpool are really, really bad. So the positive out of that, at least, is that I'm more confident than ever that we can go to Anfield and get a win. We should be beating that team. That's plain and simply, we should be beating that Liverpool team. And it'll be interesting to see if we do. But, I mean, they've got to play. I think they play Chelsea midweek as well. So they've got another game between that game. It was annoying that they just got pulled apart. I mean, City were good. City were really good, to be fair. But, yeah, I'm confident going into the game at Anfield that we can beat them. Our attack is too good for Liverpool. That's what I'm thinking. I think our attack is too good for them. But we've got plenty of time to talk about that game in the week. He was asked if there's a sickness bug in the camp. So obviously, Bukayo Saka didn't start. And at first, there were fears that it was an injury. I mean, there weren't great fears because we knew he was in the squad. So it was never going to be serious. But it was illness. It was illness that got Saka. It was actually the day before, apparently. So he missed training. Because there have been a few people saying, well, why didn't he pick up the Player of the Month award? Which was interesting because he wasn't there. He felt a bit better yesterday. And obviously, we saw him come on, which was good. But he was asked if there was a sickness bug. He said it's an issue that we've had some of the international players and players we had here, but it happens. It was part of the context of the game, and we used it in the right way. Players are so willing to step up and play in any context, which is great. And some people were questioning why Saka came on. If he was ill, why risk him coming on later in the game? I think there are two reasons for that. One, and we've seen it a lot, is that Arteta brings on players effectively to replace them doing a warm down session. So if you're a player like Saka that hadn't played, after the game, he'd have had to stay behind and do a big warm down session, whereas basically it was just a fitness top up by bringing him on. But also, I think Arteta's probably looking at goal difference. I think Arteta's probably looking at the goal difference because obviously City improved their goal difference by 3, and I'm having a look now at the current goal difference between Arsenal and Man City when it loads. So you've got Arsenal's goal difference is 43, and City's goal difference is 45. So I definitely think Arteta's. We could have and maybe should have actually had than just the 3 that we had. Obviously, we conceded that annoying goal. That's a point. The goal difference is effectively a point. If our goal difference is better than City's, it's basically a 9-point gap instead of an 8-point gap, and it could come down to that. So it's important that we keep fighting for those goal difference. Goals, and so I think that's why Saka came on instead of. I'd have loved to see Smith Rowe come on, right? He did in the end, but with half an hour to go, I don't blame Arteta for bringing Saka on. Do you think it was necessary for Jesus to come off at 58 minutes? I'd have given him at least another 15. I don't know. I guess you'd have to ask how Jesus was feeling, wouldn't you? You could have taken off Trossard, I guess. Yeah, it's interesting. It was the first time that he started a Premier League game since that injury. So, and also it's difficult at the moment, right? In terms of if you start looking ahead towards the Liverpool game, who gets dropped? Because I think it's going to have to be Trossard, which is incredibly unfair. But for the front three against Liverpool, assuming that Saka is fine, I think you drop Trossard, which is crazy considering how well he's playing. But there's not a lot you can do. So yeah, that goal difference is going to be important. Other things that Arteta said, he says he was asked if he enjoys the games, and he says he does, and now more than before. Unsurprisingly, I think most of us enjoy the games more now than we did before. Rams, welcome to the chat. How you doing? Liverpool are playing midweek away against Chelsea. Good for us. They'll be fatigued. Yeah, exactly. Very good for us. We've got a whole week off, so we do have a whole week off, don't we? I'm not getting that wrong. We do. He was asked if he feels like cup final victories, if these wins feel like cup final victories. And he said no, it just feels like another game. It feels like the next training session, and we go again to the next game. Finals are played in May, and we don't have any finals today, which is interesting because he's actually previously said that they are cup finals. But someone says so because Trossard did score a hat trick at Anfield once. So Arteta's right toe says that we should start with Trossard, Jesus, and Saka. So, but then you drop Martinelli, and Martinelli was I think Martinelli against Trent is a better option than Trossard against Trent. Personally, anyway, I can't see Martinelli being dropped. I can't. His assist yesterday as well for Ben White's goal, so good. Thank God Jesus came out of his slump before City and Liverpool. Yeah, massive. Trent yesterday was shocking. He was shocking. That whole defence is just so poor. Did you know we've not lost or drawn a single game with our strongest starting 11, and everybody will be ready against Liverpool? Yeah, well, if Saliba's ready against Liverpool, it could be the first time that we've played that perfect starting 11, if you will, in months and months and months. Which would be huge, obviously. If you're watching on TikTok, I am live on YouTube. Massively appreciate it if you can go to the YouTube link in my bio. Come and subscribe. We're en route to 1,000 subscribers. Smash a like on the video on YouTube as well. Is it likely that Saliba will be back? I don't know. We honestly don't know. The way that Arteta's spoken about it makes me feel like he's basically just going to play the big games. But we'll see. It's so weird because it's a back injury. Like where I was sat yesterday, I was in the west stand lower, so I was kind of just to the left of of the dugouts behind all of the subs. And Saliba was down there with them, and he's walking around like it's not like any other injury because he's walking around. He looks absolutely fine. You see him walk out of the tunnel, go and sit on the bench, and it's like, why can't you play? Um, but who knows how that back injury is going to progress and what games he is and isn't going to be able to play. But I would hope that he plays against Liverpool. I would hope that he plays against Liverpool. Arteta playing mind games. Yeah, exactly. You don't know what these mind games are or anything like that. So, thoughts on Martin Odegaard? I thought Odegaard had a slightly tougher game yesterday. I don't know about how his I don't know how fatigued he was from the international break, but I thought, and to be fair, Arteta said as well, he was man marked in the first half, which always makes it more difficult. Gabriel's performances are highlighted by Saliba's absence. True or false? Yeah, true. I think in games like yesterday as well, because Gabriel he's not more senior than Rob Holding, but he's like the senior centre back of the two because he's been playing every game this season. There's a real leadership there from Gabriel. There's a real consistent lead. His performances have been consistent, and since the World Cup especially, I think he's been absolutely exceptional. Like so good. He just doesn't make those mistakes. That was the only sort of fault in his game used to be those mistakes. But the amount of aerial duels he won yesterday was so good. He's so good. Do you reckon Saliba will be back for the Chelsea game? So if we're in a situation where Saliba can only play certain games, I think, let's say he can only play half of the games between now and the end of the season. I think he plays against Liverpool, Chelsea, City, uh, Brighton, and Newcastle. They would be the 5 games that I would say he would start in. But we'll see. Um, yeah, I can make you mod. Do you know what? I haven't got any mods, so I've modded you. There you go. We've got a moderator in the chat, so no abuse because you'll get banned. No, don't ban people unless they're like horrific. But look, moving on. The final thing that Arteta said on Granit Xhaka getting into goal scoring positions. Granit Xhaka's got 10 goal contributions this season. That's the same as he had for the previous 3 seasons combined. He's been unbelievable, and that header was so well taken. It's a beautiful ball from Martin Odegaard, and the header is spot on. It's spot on. And Arteta said, yeah, especially here, points to head, because when you think you're going to score, you score. And then you believe in the next game that you're going to score. It was a great finish, great run, and great timing. I'm so happy for him. The midfield needs to contribute to the team with goals. And we're contributing with goals all over the pitch. Literally every single player other than Ramsdale has scored a goal this season. And it's massively important. It's massively important. 2 goals yesterday. One comes from Xhaka, one comes from Ben White. It's important that you can get goals from all of those positions. Am I going to West Ham away? Probably not. I can't imagine. Well, the thing is, the only way I could get to West Ham away would be going in the home end, which is obviously, it's a bit of a risk. It's a bit of a risk going in the home end. Grealish yesterday was scary good. Yeah, Grealish was very good yesterday. He was very good. I mean, the way he throws himself to the floor, I find a bit embarrassing, but in general, he's playing exceptionally well. Is Saliba fit for Liverpool? We don't know. We don't know for sure. But yeah, that's it. So that's it from Arteta. Newcastle versus Man United predictions. I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw. I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw. Rory, what would your Connor says? What would your ideal transfer window be? I would sign Fresneda, sign a backup right centre back, Declan Rice, a backup for Saka, and a world class striker. Should we also cash in on Balogun? So I think that would be a lot of money to spend. I would sign Fresneda. I'd sign Declan Rice. I think a backup for Saka is going to be difficult because there's no point getting a backup for Saka unless they can actually push him. And that's going to cost you 80 million in this market because there's not an abundance of good right wingers in the world at the moment. And I also wouldn't sign a world class striker. I'd bring Balogun back and I'd sell Nketiah, unfortunately. Have you seen the links to Lundstrom? I guess that's. Have you seen anything of him? Do you like him? Yeah, I've seen the links, and I watched a couple of highlight reels of him just to see what he was about because I'd not really seen him much naturally. looks good. I mean, players always look good in highlight reels, right? I don't know if it's the sort of player that we do actually need at the moment, so I'm not sure that I would prioritize Lindstrom as a signing, but we'll see. Zinchenko looks more of a midfielder than a left back. Well, he basically is. He basically is. I tell you what, as well. Another thing from that City game, John Stones is playing for City a very similar role to Zinchenko does at Arsenal. He's doing it very, very well. He is doing it exceptionally well. He basically drops into CDM when City have the ball, and it's impressive. It's impressive. Thank you, everyone, following on TikTok as well. I'm good, thank you, Sarah. I hope you're well. What would you do with Tierney and Tavares? I've actually changed my mind on Tierney. I would keep Tierney. I think we've got to sell Tavares. If Marseille don't want him after a year, I think you've got to look at that as a sign that if he's not good enough for Marseille to want to sign him permanently, he's not good enough for Arsenal to want to keep him. And apparently, Sam just said on TikTok, attitude problem. Apparently, he does have some attitude problems. I did see Brendan Rodgers is gone. If you didn't see the news, Brendan Rodgers has been sacked, and I'm surprised he lasted this long. They've had a torrid season. They are now officially in the relegation zone after the results yesterday. They're in 18th, and actually, has anyone got the current West Ham score? Has anyone got the current West Ham score? Because they'll drop into 19th if West Ham win. It's 1-0 to West Ham at the moment. So if West Ham win that, Leicester are going to be in 19th, and they don't have games in hand over anyone up until Wolves, who are in 13th. So, I mean, they're in real danger. They're in real danger because West Ham have 2 games in hand, including the one that they're playing right now. So if they win that, West Ham will go up to 16th. No, higher than that, actually, because of goal difference. They'll go up to 14th, West Ham, with a win, and still have another game in hand. So I think the problem is, have they got rid of Rodgers too late? Has Rodgers gone too late? It would be the question. And also, I mean, I just made a TikTok on it. I think Leicester are going down. I think more so because sacking him. How are they going to get a new manager bounce when most of the players are going to leave? The new manager bounce normally comes from wanting to impress the new manager. I don't think they're going to care. Leicester are going to get relegated. The best players are going to leave. They're gone. I think you look at it now: Southampton, Leicester, and then one other. I mean, I thought it was going to be Palace, but then Palace look all right again now. It's hard to tell. Let me know, who do you think is going to get relegated? Let me know your relegation predictions. Do you rate Yuri Tielemans? I do rate Yuri Tielemans, but we've had ample opportunity to get. I'd be absolutely shocked if we end up signing him now, because we've had so much opportunity to sign him, and the sort of rumours about him all just disappeared as well. We could have done it last summer. We could have done it in January. Chelsea going to get relegated. I mean, well, Chelsea are they're 11th and they're not on 40 points yet, so they're not guaranteed safety. Would I take anyone from Leicester? I'll tell you who wouldn't be a bad shout. There's a bit left, not left field, but Justin, the left back. If you're talking about bringing in depth, and if we did get rid of Tierney, Justin, he's been injured a lot. Obviously, Madison would be great, but I don't see it being a signing that Arsenal make. I don't think it's a position we massively need. We massively need to sign someone for, and I think he's going to be a lot of money. So, what did you think of Klopp's decisions yesterday? It seemed like he didn't even want to win, especially with Núñez on the bench. I think Darwin Núñez is carrying a knock, and that was why he was on the bench. I believe. Ndidi would be good. Ndidi's not been good for a while. I think, didn't Ndidi get quite a bad injury? And since coming back from that injury, I don't think he's been particularly good. Madison isn't free in the summer, I don't think. I'll check that, but I'm 90% sure Madison isn't free in the summer. They'd have already sold him if he was. Let's have a look. No, he's on a 4-year contract. I don't know when he signed it, but he's a free agent in 2024. So next summer, not this summer coming, the summer after. Who's your favourite player of all time? Thierry Henry. Has to be Thierry Henry. Cliche as it is as an Arsenal fan. It has to be Thierry Henry. Someone impersonating me is in the chat and has put Rory talks communism. Interesting. Interesting indeed. Do you think Liverpool should be putting more pressure on Klopp? 8 away losses. Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one. I feel like Klopp's almost untouchable, right? And especially because there's a large section of the Liverpool fan base that would just not accept Klopp being fired. But it's, I don't know. It's difficult to see where Liverpool go from here. I think top 4 is absolutely out of the equation for them now. It's not even just they've lost 3 games in a row since beating United 7-0, and it's not just about the losses. It's about the performances. The performances are abysmal. What about Harvey Barnes? Oh, Harvey Barnes. I just don't think we need him. It's difficult. Like, is Harvey Barnes better than Reece Nelson? I'm not sure he is, truthfully. So it's a difficult one. Someone just said James Ward-Prowse has scored a free kick. I don't know if that's true. The front 3 I'd start against Liverpool would be Martinelli, Jesus, and Saka. And then, because the beauty of Trossard being the one that's benched as well, which I don't think he does deserve to be benched, but you've got to make an insane decision because one of those 4 isn't going to start. The beauty of it being Trossard is that if either one of those front 3 get injured during the game, Trossard can come on in their position. But also, if either one of the 3 just isn't clicking and playing particularly well, you can also right. I'm gonna have to remove this guy. You can also bring Trossard on in that position. So it's really good. It's really good to have Trossard as that option. As much as he deserves, for the contributions he's made, he deserves to play. It's someone said Liverpool are winning. Where's that confidence? Where is that confidence coming from? How can you watch that game yesterday and have the confidence? Both games, in fact, yesterday. How can you watch them and come to the conclusion that Liverpool are going to beat Arsenal? Where am I watching the game next Sunday? I believe the plan is that I'm going to be on AFTV for a watch along for the Liverpool game next week. So that'll be interesting if that happens. I will let you know on Twitter if we do go ahead, if I do go ahead and do that. But look, more on Arsenal from yesterday. Again, I think Ben White was my man of the match. Thank you, man. Thank you. I think Ben White was man of the match. I think, which is harsh on Jesus, but I just thought Ben White did so well, especially if he is carrying an injury. That's fantastic for him. And no one for me gets lower than an 8. And this is one thing. So I did my player ratings. If you've not seen the player ratings, they're on my TikTok. But I gave Ramsdale a 9, White a 10, Holding an 8, Gabriel a 9, Zinchenko a 9, Partey a 9, Xhaka a 9, Ødegaard 8, Trossard 8, which actually on reflection I think was a bit harsh, Martinelli 9, and Jesus 10. And my player ratings, generally speaking, are higher than other people's. But especially at this time of year, I think you win any game 4-1 comfortably at home. You can't give them 7s. Like 7 is too average to give to any of those players. I think to keep having this mentality of winning and winning and winning, that's 7 wins in a row since we lost to Man City. Within that time, we've had games without Partey, without Saliba. Now, yesterday we had a game where we didn't start Saka. Obviously, we didn't have Jesus in a lot of those games. So I think it's really impressive that they just keep hammering away. And I said it in the match reaction on TikTok yesterday. This is how City do run-ins. This is when everyone talks about what City are capable of doing in the run-in. We're doing it. We are doing what City do. Obviously, we've got another 9 games to continue doing that, but I think it's so impressive. We've scored 23 goals in those 7 games as well. It's averaging more than 3 goals a game. It's crazy. Am I part of AFTV? I'm not part of AFTV, no. No, no. But I might be on there next weekend, which would be cool. Would you want to sign Gavi in the next window if he's available? I mean, Gavi is an exceptionally good player, so I wouldn't say no to it. But I couldn't imagine us signing him. Wan-Bissaka not in the lineup for Man U. Interesting. So, well, Dalot presumably. Imagine next week it's Easter and Jesus will resurrect and do a miracle. Well, he did it yesterday. He did it a week early. But hopefully, he does the same against Liverpool. I mean, if anything, right, I would argue that from the Liverpool game at the Emirates, from the Liverpool game at the Emirates, Arsenal have kicked on and are even better now than we were then, and Liverpool have got even worse. The only thing that I think can get a result for Liverpool is the Anfield aura. But I think we just have to. I think we have to go in there all guns blazing and just absolutely batter them. Lucas's ratings, he gave a Ramsdale a 9, Zinchenko a 7, Gabriel a 7, Holding a 7, White an 8, Partey a 7.5, Xhaka a 9.5, Trossard an 8, Jesus a 9.5, and Martinelli a 9. And he didn't rate Martin Odegaard. So fair play. I mean, look, some people have lower ratings than me, but I get carried away. To be honest, after a win, it's a struggle for me not to just give everyone a 10 out of 10 anyway. Arsenal's player of the season prediction, I think Bukayo Saka. It's hard to imagine it wouldn't be Bukayo Saka. I think. I mean, there's so many players that in any other season would win it, but I think it's got to be Bukayo Saka. Interesting stat. Here's an interesting stat for you. Everyone keeps talking about, well, not everyone, but Man United fans like to claim that Marcus Rashford could be a Ballon d'Or winner this year. Currently, in the Premier League this season, Odegaard and Trossard both have the same number of goal contributions as Marcus Rashford, and Bukayo Saka obviously has, I think, 6 goal contributions more than Rashford. So, just a fun little stat for you there. And people say do all comps. I don't care about all comps because I don't care about stat padding against some championship teams in the Energy Drink Cup. So no, I won't do all competitions. Rashford 10-game wonder? Yeah. No, look, Rashford is having an excellent season, but I do think it's important to contextualize some of his statistics. Was I at the game? Yeah, I was at the game. I was at the game yesterday. Just in the nick of time, I got a ticket off the ticket exchange. I was having an absolute meltdown. I'll tell you now, because on the ticket exchange, I was on the ticket exchange all of Friday night. Like I did like a 5-hour shift on the ticket exchange Friday night. Woke up yesterday morning, did another like 4-hour shift on the ticket exchange. And within that, about an hour before the ticket, because the ticket exchange closes at midday, about an hour before it was going to close, I got a ticket in my basket, and it was 116 quid, which was making me feel a bit unwell. But it was in my basket, and I went to put in my card details and clicked it, and then it just said server error, and then it said the ticket was gone from my basket, and I was raging. And then about half an hour later, I got another ticket, and it was actually only 40 quid. So that whole mess actually saved me like 75 quid, which was quite nice. Doesn't the ticket exchange do that thing that the map won't load after like 5 minutes of refreshing? Yeah, so if you refresh your load on the ticket exchange, eventually it comes up with a thing that stops you, that kicks you off it, basically. It says it can't load the map. When that happens, I basically normally switch to another device. So I've got like PC, laptop, phone. I rotate between the 3, and by the time it's happened on the 3rd device, the first one will let me back in. A little tip for you if you have that problem. Have I got tickets for the final day? No, the tickets haven't gone on sale to Red members yet. So tickets go on sale to Red members, and if I don't get one, then I think it's done. I can't see myself getting one off the ticket exchange for that final game, unfortunately. Unless we've already. The only way would be if we weren't going to be able to win the title on the final day. So Thank you for the roses on TikTok. It's very kind of you. I managed to get mine. Aaron Bannister has got his ticket for the final game. Congratulations. So far, I've my 100% record of being at every home game this season is still intact. It will be a miracle if it's still intact by the end of the season because it's getting ridiculously hard to get tickets at this point. Yeah, platinum members, silver members have got their tickets. It's only red members left to get theirs. Pepe, thank you for the follow on TikTok. There's a very salty gentleman in the TikTok chat at the moment. I think he's a Man United fan. Poor kid. Poor kid. Liverpool and Arsenal combined 11. That'll be out on TikTok later this week. That'll be out on TikTok later this week. A little preview. It's going to be a lot of Arsenal players. Patch, thank you for the follow on TikTok as well. Predictions for Everton versus Spurs at Goodison Park. I think Everton will win. That's tomorrow night, 8 o'clock kickoff, I think. Everton versus Spurs, and I think Everton are going to win. But it'll be interesting to see how Spurs do without Conte. See if there's any no manager bounce or better not put Ben White over Trent. Of course, I'm putting Ben White over Trent. Ben White's the best right back in the league, and I'm not gonna stop saying that Ben White is the best right back in the league until it's a general consensus. Until the general consensus across like 90% of football fans is that Ben White is the best right back in the league. I'm not going to stop. We're on a mission. Be harsh to drop Trossard versus Liverpool. Use Jesus as an impact from the bench. But yes, it would be harsh to drop Trossard. But also, are you going to drop Jesus after he's just scored 2 goals? First start back? I don't think so. So, is that why Ben White starts for England? The reason Ben White doesn't start for England is the same reason that Harry Maguire does start for England. Gareth Southgate is absolutely clueless. Thoughts on the empty seats at the Emirates because of expensive resellers? Yeah, really annoying. Especially in the corner of the clock end yesterday. There was a one sort of segment of about 40 empty seats all in one area. It's a joke. It is a joke, and it needs to get sorted. To be fair, Jesus' goals were sitters. Well, one of them he does very well to win the penalty, and then he buries the penalty. And that was really at a time where we weren't creating many chances, so it was huge. And the other one, it's a very intelligent run. He plays the ball into Trossard, and if you watch his run, the burst of acceleration into that space where he gets it, it's very good attacking play. Arsenal winning the league, I hope so. Me and my mate had separate seats, but managed to sit together because of an empty seat next to me in the clock end. Yeah, that happens quite a lot. There was a guy sat next to me that definitely wasn't in the correct seat. But why are people so salty over Arsenal? We've been out of the picture for 19 years. Yeah, I wanted to talk about this. People expect Arsenal fans to be really humble and quiet about the fact that we're 8 points clear at the top of the league. So you've given us abuse. Other fans have given us abuse for years and years and years. Absolutely bantered us into oblivion. And you think that now we're back, we're just going to sit here and be like, I'm very happy that Arsenal are very good. The other teams are all excellent, but it's fantastic that Arsenal are doing well. No, I'm going to rinse. I'm going to rinse as many people as I can. This is our vengeance. There were no injuries. There were no. Lucas just asked in the YouTube chat, were there any injuries yesterday? There weren't, and that is big. That is big that we got through that game. I mean, there were a couple of. Xhaka went down at one point early on. Ødegaard went down, and I thought he looked hurt. And Martinelli went down, and I thought he looked hurt. But they were all contact injuries. Same with Trossard in the back. That was, if you've seen the clip of Rocker for Leeds elbowing Trossard in the back, it's outrageous. At the time, obviously at the game, I didn't see it. Literally off the ball, inside the box, just runs up and digs an elbow into Trossard's back. He went down and was injured. I thought it was an absolute disgrace that VAR didn't look at that, and there should be some sort of retrospective action because it was violent conduct. Who's going down, in my opinion? Leicester, Southampton, and one other. Possibly Leeds at this point. To be fair, possibly Leeds. Yeah, it was definitely a penalty. But if the ref didn't see it and they've not looked at it, then in retrospect it should be looked at, and I think he should be suspended for violent conduct because it's so unnecessary. It's such a weird thing that he did. Someone just said I sound like Jeremy Clarkson. Well, Jeremy Clarkson is a hero. So who would you, Emma? Thank you for the follow. Someone asked who I would target for right centre back. So there is a question over whether we need to sign a right centre back next summer or this summer. Because is Holding, and if you've got Saliba out injured properly, is Holding good enough to compete in the Premier League and the Champions League? And as much as I love Holding and I've been very impressed with what he's done since coming in, I do think you probably need a better option than that. I don't know who's on the market. There's rumours that Eric Garcia from Barcelona is someone that we're in for. But it'll be interesting. I don't really have a name that I'm like, I'd really want them. Gvardiol, people talk about Gvardiol, but I don't know. I think that's a tricky one. I think that's a really tricky one. He's getting a lot of money. Aren't ticket exchange resellers meant to sell for the same price they bought it for? Yeah, so people that's, if you sell it on the ticket exchange, you don't actually sell it, basically. Arsenal give you what you paid, and then it gets relisted at face value. But the problem is people don't sell it on the ticket exchange. They sell it on reseller sites and get a lot more money back. Do I hate Lee Gunner? Look, Lee Gunner's Lee Gunner. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I hate anyone. Lee Gunner's Lee Gunner. He's done his thing and he's got to where he is. So fair play. What's your favourite Arsenal Adidas kit? I think it's it's either the pink one this year or the black one this year. In terms of ones that we can buy anyway. Some of these ones that we've seen for next season, though. I mean, have you seen that away kit? Woo! Woo! What happens if Ben White gets injured? God knows. If Ben White gets injured, I think Thomas Partey moves. Given that when White went down the tunnel yesterday before the game, Jorginho started warming up with the first team, which makes me think the solution, if Ben White couldn't play, was going to be Partey at right back and Jorginho playing in midfield. Which is interesting. I think that shows how desperately we need a new right back. But look, we'll talk about that through the week. We'll be live every day this week, 5 p.m. On the YouTube. Again, if you're on TikTok, please subscribe on YouTube. The link's in my bio. We go live every day, 5 p.m. talking all things Arsenal, all the Arsenal news, and answering all of your questions. Massively appreciate everyone that's joined in today. Massively appreciate everyone that has subscribed today. Smash a like on the video if it was one that you enjoyed, and have a good evening. Of course, we can all now flock over and watch Manchester United against Newcastle. I'm hoping for a Newcastle win. Just to spice things up in the top 4 race. But yeah, have a good evening. And I'll catch you all tomorrow. Good evening.